Roy?
Yes, sir.
Is that singular or plural? I don't,
It's-
is that, yeah, singular or plural? Is hair singular or plural?
All right, folks, here we go. Good evening, in these extraordinary times. Welcome to the January 28th meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Carissa?
First up is Appeal 2020-051, Maximo Nunez, 139 Railroad Street, Riverhead, tax map number 600-128-3-17.1, DC3 zoning, for variances and or relief from Chapter 301, Section 151B1, where proposed number of parking stalls is 14 and minimum required is 20.
All right, who's representing the applicant? Unmute.
Yes, good evening. My name is Pablo Rodriguez. I work for Cavalry Engineering PC, and I am the project engineer for the proposed site
All
plan.
right, kindly raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Aye, sir.
State your name and your address.
Pablo Rodriguez, my company address is 70 East Main Street, Patchogue, New York, 11772.
You have the floor.
Yes, good evening, everybody. This is our second meeting. We had a previous meeting for the January 14 ZBA meeting. Our proposed application is seeking to do a change of use of the existing building, which we're going from a existing assembly space that requires 36 spaces, parking spaces, as per the current standards. We are proposing to do a change of use, which will ultimately require 20 spaces as per the latest requirements for planning. The site is small, it's not even an acre site, and is an existing, we have a letter of pre-existing use for all the tenant spaces, and we are able to accommodate 14 spaces overall, so we are seeking a 6 spaces parking variance on this application.
Okay. Any board members have any questions for Pablo?
I think there's opposition.
All right, anyone else to be heard on this matter? Unmute.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Kiley. I'm an attorney. My address is P.O. Box 567, Mattatuck, New York, 11952. I represent a neighbor, so I'd just like to say a few words about the application, if I may.
Sure.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and rest of the board. Thank you for adjourning this matter and for me the opportunity to address it tonight. I represent a neighboring business owner who appreciates the fact that another business is investing in and thereby helping to revitalize the train station area. However, parking is a major concern. We retained architect Brian Fisher, reviewed the application, and have the following comments. 1. The entrance apron from Railroad Avenue indicates two-way traffic. Thus, according to Section 301-231-3, the apron must be 24 feet. Here, they're only proposing 22 feet. 2, the angled 45-degree parking spots adjoining the west property line, according to Section 301-231E2, must be 10 feet wide. Here, they're only 9 feet wide. Thus, compliance would only allow 4 spots in that area versus the 5 that are being proposed. 3, further, cars leaving the 45-degree spots would necessarily have to back out into the two-way traffic, entering and leaving the parking lot, and then back out onto Railroad Avenue, or perform a 3-point turn due to the narrowness of the 22-foot drive, whereby creating a significant traffic hazard. Additionally, pursuant to Section 301-231E3, the 22 feet is substandard because 24 feet is required. 4, the 9 proposed 90-degree parking spots along the south lot line are only 9 feet wide. What previously referenced, they are required to be 10 feet in width. Further, the last 2 easternmost spots must be removed for 2 reasons. A, pursuant to Section 301-231E1, the aisle width for backing out is lacking, where 24 feet is required, and here they're proposing 21 feet. And B, the two easternmost stalls conflict with the access to the garage. Here, the applicant is saying that 20 parking spots are required. My calculations, with the grocery store being retail, is 21.64 spots, thus 22. They're only proposing 14 spots. And as I previously stated, that number is inflated, because to meet the aforementioned code provisions, only 11 code-compliant spots can fit on this site. Thus, they are 50% deficient. Further, the dumpster enclosure appears to be substandard, and if it was the appropriate size, it could interfere with certain spots on the southerly line. Additionally, it seems too close to the building for odors and problematic for a garbage truck to navigate the tight space. So it necessarily would be bigger and would come out and may take up other spots. Moreover, section 301-151B4 requires parking to be 15 feet from the front property line. I'm not sure that is met here. According to section 301-151B8, 15% of the land area of the parking lot has to be landscaped. It is not shown here, and if met, could further reduce the number of possible spots. Lastly, pursuant to section 301-231J1, drainage facilities to prevent runoff have not been provided, and that as well could impact the number of spots. The applicant here is proposing to operate a taxi service, barbershop, and a grocery store, and only provide 11 spots. To me, that is putting 10 pounds of sausage in a 5-pound bag. Therefore, the parking layout as proposed will cause a negative impact on adjacent properties by absolutely producing a parking problem, a potential accident problem, and a traffic problem by creating congestion by ingress and egress by a substandard two-way drive. The variance requested of 50% is clearly substantial. The benefit can be achieved by proposing less intense uses for the parking available. Environmental concerns of runoff exist as no drainage is proposed, and the hardship is clearly self-created, as again, a less intense use would solve the problem. Any grocery store that I have been to has always filled their spots, and here I would assume between the 3 businesses in one building, all 11 spots would be taken up by employees. Therefore, any other parking would be off-site. In sum, I would respectfully request that the application for a variance from section 301-151B1 be denied.
Now, who do you represent? You represent somebody on that block?
14.
Yes, sir.
Who's that then?
There's a deli.
On that same street?
Yes.
At the end.
Okay. All right, I know the one. Okay. Any other board members have any questions?
So all of these parking spaces are within inside the property lines of this parcel that's being proposed to be upgraded, right?
All of the parking that we are proposing, all of the existing parking, property lines.
Okay.
I guess he doesn't want to have extra parking, but
The dog objects as well, I believe.
Can I request 2 minutes just to kind of answer a couple of the points that
Sure, go ahead.
gentleman,
You
Mr.
have the
Kiley,
floor.
raised?
Please, go ahead.
all of these,
Okay, so, we totally understand that the site presents a lot of constraints regarding to parking, landscaping, the location of the dumpster. Yes, we totally understand that, and we have worked for pretty much close to a year with the planning department trying to address these issues. Let me just start by saying that we are reducing the intensity of the use. Right now, like I said, the building has a CO for an assembly use. Therefore, we're going from, I believe it's 30 parking spaces all the way to 20 spaces. So we're already reducing the intensity of the existing use. We have to get credit that the design already thought about that, the parking issues, and the owner have decided not to have an assembly use at that location, although it's already permitted, we already have a CO, and that also raises a lot of concerns with there's the existing tavern, which is like a nightclub, and it's gonna have a lot of objections. So we totally understand that. We're trying to reduce that. We're trying to beautify the place. We're trying to redo the exterior, the interior, the site. Everything is going to be done the best. We're trying to beautify the place. However, we do realize that there are some constraints with the current regulations, and we have worked with the planning department trying to find the best case scenario to trying to lay out the parking, trying to lay out as many spaces that we can. And another thing, we had another option of trying to rezone the property, trying to use the municipal parking as an additional parking required to offset the spaces required for this location. So there's other options, but none of them will make this application any better in terms of the usage of the property. A grocery store is a retail space which is not a high intensive use. Anything less than that, I don't believe there's going to be anything less than that. I can double check. I don't have the numbers on top of my head, but a retail use is a really less intensive parking space, parking required.
Okay. All right, anybody else have any more questions for anyone? Anyone else to be heard on this matter? All right, let's close this, let's have a reserved decision, and we'll give everybody 10 days for any letters, any other correspondence they want to send to us, and we'll look at. Other than that, we'll close the meeting, have a reserved decision.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. There's one more idea that I just missed. Do you have 10 more
Sure,
seconds?
it's still open. Go ahead.
Okay. So again, we did receive. I don't know if Mr. Kiley received if he foiled the information from the planning department. There's already a staff report issued by the planning department had some of the comments. I am not quite sure if it's going to be final comments issued by the planning department. But we already have a set of comments to advance the project forward, and none of them was conflicting with our proposed parking layout. So planning have already looked at this layout, and it is the best case scenario in terms of providing adequate parking, adequate number of parking. Yes, with some waivers of the actual dimensions and the angle. We try to get creative, but everything is within the engineering standards to provide the parking spaces. Right now, the property is existing. There's already a barbershop, and there's already a taxi dispatcher. So it's not like we are creating anything new. It's already existing. And we're just trying to decrease the intensity of the application.
Isn't there public parking along the street on Railroad?
It is, but as per the zoning the current zoning regulations of the property, we are supposed to provide 100% of the parking spaces.
For the people who are opposing it, they need to be made aware that there is additional parking on the street itself.
And there's two municipal parkings half a block from the location.
Which I'm quite sure the complainants, customers use it as well.
But we have all the required parking on site. We fully comply with the code. And so, number one, I want to address, well, I'm sorry, if I could just address some of the final points. He's referencing a staff report. A staff report is not planning board approval. And a staff report, if it approved what is being proposed today, was fraught with non-compliance. I pointed out many different code provisions that were not adhered to here. And he mentioned that there are other alternatives. So one of the factors that the zoning board has to go through is, does the applicant have any other alternatives? And he admitted he does. So I think he has 3 uses, and it's not appropriate for the site.
I haven't had privy to the staff report, which I will get a copy of. In that staff report, does anybody know, Dawn or anybody else, does anybody know, are there comments referencing things that don't meet the code in that report
No.
that you're keeping out, Mr. Kiley?
This is the first I'm hearing that there was a staff report.
Okay, so you haven't looked at the file or reviewed it.
I foiled the records, I didn't receive a staff report.
How current is the staff report, Mr. Rodriguez?
If you give me 2 seconds, I'll get you the date that it was issued. The,
Well, I'm surprised it wasn't provided to Mr. Kiley, and it should have been, but it could have been an oversight.
Yeah, that's fine.
August
But again, from
17th.
my perspective, again, a staff report is preliminary, it's a draft, it's not approved by the planning board.
I mean, there are other issues that are certainly of concern, which is more planning board's issues. They're asking for a variance because they fall short of X amount of parking spots, and that's it.
Now,
All the other issues have to be dealt with by the planning board and staff.
is there any way they can go through the site plan?
Those objections to them if you would like.
Is there any way you can have them go to the site plan process first and then and their approval
Well, it's
subject
just a
to?
matter of, I guess they decided to come to us for the amount before they proceeded forward, so that they knew they exhausted everything they could. So, but I would like to see the staff report, and I'm quite sure our staff just mailed it to me, so I'm going to take a look at it. But and we can put that in the decision in writing.
Yeah, because, again, there's a major discrepancy between the number of spots he's saying that's reflected in the plan and the number of spots that I'm saying, if it was code compliant, would be. You're down to now 11, which would be a 50% variance, which is quite large.
The staff report was dated August 17th. And when you filed your FOIL, did you ask for the planning staff's report or the ZBA's applications report? Because those are 2 separate items.
I believe my office asked for any and all documents pertaining to this application.
Any and all, but you're not sure that they asked for it, but you believe they did.
Yeah, I believe it.
Okay, so would we be able to make, a copy available to you so you could review it? And have any other comments put in writing? And we'll take it from there. Fair enough?
Yeah, that's fine.
and Mr. Barnes, one more final. This application went for the town board as well. And,
I know. Yeah, right.
And we did not get any negative comments or something that would change or approach to the site plan review.
And that's fine. Just we want to go through due process. Have Mr. Kiley review the staff report and any other reports he may want to look at, and then we'll make our determination.
Thanks, sir.
Hey,
Yes,
D-Roy?
thank you.
Yes, sir.
In the staff report, it's also mentioned that the Landmark Preservation Commission, in a memo
Yes.
dated August 18th, 2020, offered the following comments, and there's 3 comments there, which I think would
Okay.
be significant for all these fellows to see, because none of it was negative.
Well, certainly, I'm quite sure we'll all take that into consideration when we write our final written decision.
And we did receive the 2 or 3 comments from the Landsmark review. I think Mr. Wines from the Landsmark sent me an email as far as their comments, and my plans have already been revised based on their comments, and we are waiting for a final site plan approval so we can apply for the facade renovation of the building.
Fair enough.
Okay, so we have a little work to do, and let's have a reading.
We're adjourning it
We're
to-
not a reserved decision, we're just adjourning it for tonight.
I'll tell you what, let's adjourn for tonight, we'll leave it open, but if everything works out and we get all the information, we should have a decision by the next meeting. But we'll leave it open for
I
comments.
think you gotta, close the public hearing and leave it open for a period of time for
Okay,
comments.
so we'll close the public meeting, but we'll take
written.
any written comments
Okay.
that you have. And we'll give you 2 weeks. How's that?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the appeal number 2020-051 be closed for public hearing, but be left open 2 weeks for a written comment, and we will be adjourned until February 11th meeting.
So moved.
All right, Mr. Gazillo.
Aye.
Mr. Bonds.
Aye.
Mr. Whitmire.
Aye.
Mr. Seabrook.
Aye.
And I vote aye. So we'll see you folks next meeting.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Have a good night, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Of course.
Appeal number 2020-052, Jill Chesini, 102 East Woodland Drive, Wading River, tax map number 65212, RB80 zoning. For variances and a relief from chapter 301, section 28C, where converted space over detached garage for habitable recreation space and bathroom is deemed not to be a customary accessory use to the principal single-family zone.
All right, so unmute and raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. Unmute. You got to unmute. Is that a yes? We still got to get you on voice.
Jeff, if you can hear us, unmute. Your unmute button.
Okay.
Hey,
How's that?
what's that? Thank you.
All right, let's do it again. Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your name and your address.
It's Jeff Zahn, 215 Roanoke Avenue, Riverhead, New York.
You have the floor.
Okay. The application you have before you is for an existing three-car detached garage that had a second floor that was approved and built accordingly, and then was finished off afterwards. And there's a rec room with a bathroom, and it was thrown back out as deemed not a customary accessory use to the main dwelling, as per section 301-28.
See.
C. So we're looking, I don't believe that it is not out of character for the neighborhood, as there are a few structures, actually two structures in particular, one adjacent to the property behind on Remsen Road, and another one on Woodland around the bend with very similar garages with habitable space above.
So in looking at the property, I don't think you need a rental property to help out with the mortgage. I think you're,
I can assure you, the owner has no interest at all to have this as an accessory apartment.
I believe it. How many children does he have?
2.
2, that's enough.
You met.
All it takes is one, right?
That's right.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? No one. Leroy, nothing?
I really don't object to it.
Now, what happens when they forget to bring the milk with them? And they gotta go back to the store? Who has it?
That's a good question.
It's a tough ride up there. Anyway, okay, enough of that. Let's have a reading. Who's got it? Excuse me, anybody with us here?
Okay, let's see.
Rafael, you
Okay.
got it.
I move that the appeal of Jill, how do you pronounce the last name?
Sashimi.
What?
Shashimi.
Sistini,
Yes, just
102
Sistini.
East Woodlawn Drive, Wading River, Suffolk County Tax Map number 600-50-2-12, RB 80 zoning for variance and/or relief from Chapter 301, Section 28C, where converted space of a detached garage for habitable recreation space and bathroom is deemed not to be a not to be a customary accessory used to principal single-family dwelling, be granted in accordance with the applications and sketches with amendments thereto, if any, as filed with the building inspector.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Gazillo.
Aye.
Mr. Barnes.
Aye.
Mr. Whitmire.
Aye.
Mr. Seabrook.
Aye.
And I vote aye. So your appeal's been granted. About 2 weeks from now, we should have all the paperwork done. You'll be getting a letter in the mail.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good luck.
Good
Have
night.
a great night.
Good night, Jeff.
Good night.
Appeal 2020-054, Christopher Hillis, 45 Third Street, Riverhead, tax map number 600-128-520, DC4 zoning, for variances and relief from Chapter 301, Section 155B1, where proposed number of parking stalls is 4 and minimum required is 5. Section 231E3, where required two-way drive aisle is 13 feet and required is 24 feet. Section 154A, where proposed impervious coverage is 82%, maximum permitted is 60%, and where proposed side yard setback is 7 feet and minimum required is 10 feet.
You kindly raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Sure. Hit your mute
Now put on
button.
your mute, take off your mute, or whatever you do. Speakers off, speakers on.
Unmute.
You in?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Wow, good. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right. Glad you got the hand raised right anyway. Okay, state your name and your address.
My name is Anthony Portillo, A&P Architecture, 1075 Franklinville Road, Laurel, New York.
All right, state your case.
So we are requesting relief. Well, I'll explain the project. Basically, it's an empty lot currently. My client and I are proposing 3 two-story units that will be townhomes. The idea is to have some rental properties. He wants to like sort of a medium to low income type of property. So it's going to be affordable. We obviously have some reliefs that we're requesting. I just want to mention that he's interested in investing in this area. There's actually a house across the street that they own as well that they're trying to figure out currently how to do the same thing with the townhomes. That one has a home on it. So we're dealing with the historical board, and that one's eventually going to hopefully move forward as well. So he's trying to create some rental properties in that area, and if you know that area, it's a little desolate, and the railroad tracks are there, and it seems to be definitely needs a little bit of cleaning up. So I think this is a good project. That's my point. So basically, due to the size of the lot, we're having some constraints with being able to meet the parking requirements. Also unable to get a proper two-way alley into the parking lot in the back. Our lot coverage is over as well. And we have a side yard setback issue, and partially because I got it as far away from that property line to try to get at least a 13-foot driveway. The parking stalls, you know, there's some parking on the street. People do park on the street in that area. I thought that maybe that would be an approach to if someone did need a parking space. But we would have one space plus a handicap space for each unit. The one-way sort of approach, since we don't have enough for two-way, I was going to speak to you about possibly we would have some sort of, you know, we would have signs that would say, you know, to stop and check for anybody pulling in, and sort of the same thing when pulling in, make sure no one's pulling out from the back of the parking lot. I mean, it will be the residents that will be using that parking lot. So, you know, I think that, that could work out. It's about 60 feet there. So I think that visually you'll be able to see back there if anybody's pulling out. And I think as you approach, you should be able to see if anybody's pulling in from the street. The other reliefs, the lot coverage and the side yard. I mean, the side yard, I think there's not much that I really think we can do there. I mean, we're really tight with the design approach. And obviously the lot coverage is kind of the same scenario. Just so the board understands, we have been to planning. We have been to architectural review. Sounds like we have the architectural review didn't have many comments. I think they liked the project. Planning actually seems to really like the project as well. Currently, they've sent that out to other sub-agencies like fire marshal and highway and things like that. We are currently getting approval for having for water usage. So that's in the works. We are required to have an automatic sprinkler system. We are working with the fire marshal, and we're getting a hydrant flow test so we can design that system. So currently we are really in depth in the project. We're trying to meet all the code standards and all the requirements.
Got a tight fit there.
Anthony, you're the architect?
Yes, sir.
I'm not an architect, but I got a question. What if you move that whole project back?
Push the building back and have the parking towards the front.
Well, it seems like you would have more, you'd get away from all that tightness on the aisles coming in and out.
Yeah, we don't have a
I
problem.
guess we could have like a center drive.
That's a question, that's all I,
Listen, I'm not opposed to taking a look at that. I think it makes sense. Maybe it would even work where you could have sort of split parking on both sides of the parking lot and have a center drive where maybe I could get it to be wide enough, or at least wider than what it is, and then it sounds like visually you would have a better, better access to the parking. I guess for me, I guess the intent was that I'd rather see a nice building instead of a parking lot. So we assumed to hide the parking lot in the rear.
but as the chairman said, it's awfully tight in and out there, and you're talking about signs for people leaving the property to make sure no one's coming, and when they're going in, to make sure no one's coming.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I also just kind of security-wise, it makes a little more sense having a building closer to the street with lighting and stuff like that. I think there's less chance of someone thinking it's a place where you can rob, because it's but when you're set back off the road, it just seems a little bit more accessible for people to think that, hey, I could get away with maybe sneaking into this house or these
All right, Anthony,
apartments.
this has to go before the planning board anyway, to see who's gonna be the lead agency in this matter. So we'll put you on hold, unless there's somebody else that has a comment on this. Other than that, we'll put you on hold, and when they come with their decision, we'll take it from there.
So, that's fine, but I have been to the planning board, and they actually are the ones who told me I need to come here, and, that would be the first step.
It hasn't been, the lead agency, who's gonna be covering this, has not been decided yet, so we have to hold off. Is that correct,
That's
council?
The planning board's gotta finish the secret.
Yeah, they have to finish the secret report. So
Okay,
We have to
so-
hold off until we have that, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, would you guys, I mean, due to that comment, and, I'm just wondering if maybe, I'm fine taking a look at that, different design scenario and see how that maybe plays out.
Say that again?
I'd be okay if you would like me to look at a site plan and see how maybe that plays out, where the parking's in the front,
I
building
mean,
towards the rear.
my opinion is, I kind of like your decision to put the parking in the back for security. I'd rather see a house from the road, or a nice building from the road, than see a parking lot from the road. And it only affects the 3 people that are parking in those spots. So
Right.
for that matter, I'm not against the building being where it is.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
But
All right,
again,
so-
let's leave it to the planning board, see what their decision is, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, so I'll go back to planning, and then I'd have to get back onto the zoning board.
I'll tell you what, we'll put you on for the next meeting in case they come up with their decision.
Okay, great.
And we can always adjourn it to another meeting, but we'll give you that.
Yes, sir.
And we'll take it from there. So
right,
if there's
thank
nobody
you
else
for
in
your
here
time.
on this matter, let's have an adjournment.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I respectfully move we adjourn appeal number 2020-054 to February 11th, 2011.
Second.
All right. Mr. Gazillo.
Aye.
Mr.
Thank you,
Seabrook.
Board.
Aye.
Mr. Barnes.
Aye.
Mr. Whitmire.
Aye.
And I vote aye. So we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Do we hear a motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you
Aye.
all. Thank you all for your attendance. Except for you, Leroy. Down a floor in the wall.